talk to you about the journey of child development. So a human's early developmental journey is a journey we've all taken, you and me, and so it is based on uniquely biological, cognitive, physical, and social stages. And so these stages are the building blocks for you and me. We all took this journey, and as I was able to witness my younger sister's journey from birth until now at age 2. Now I'd like to share it with you. So moments after birth, nurses and doctors intervened to ensure Katie's lungs were clear of fluid. The nurses knew she was healthy when they heard a loud and strong cry. They also conducted an APGAR test, which was founded by Virginia APGAR in 1952, and that tests the baby's body color, the muscle tone, the reflexes, and then also their lungs. And this is a picture of them conducting the APGAR test on Katie. They are rubbing her back to check for any spinal injuries, and also to check for rubbing to make sure she is pink, because if the baby is blue, that may be due to a loss of oxygen. And this is that's Katie right after she was born. So you might have noticed that there's a white cream-like substance on Katie's skin during the video, and this is called vernix caseosa, and this substance is meant to protect the baby's skin while in utero and also after birth. And it protects it from infection due to the antimicrobial properties that act as an external defense against infection after birth. Also, it is rich in lipids, and therefore it's hydrophobic, which repels water. And this protects the baby's skin from becoming infected and also from becoming too shriveled up. They also swaddled Katie right after birth, because after delivery, it's kind of shocking and overwhelming with all the sensories and the lights and sounds, so they swaddle her to stimulate the womb, being back in the womb again. And this is her today. And as you can see, she has grown up a lot in the past 2 years, and she is now active, engaging, and observant of the world around her. Every day is a new lesson for her, and she engages through talking, reading books, and she constantly has a need for independence, which can be difficult for the family sometimes. So there are 4 different developmental stages defined by the CDC, or the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They define developmental milestones as things that children can do by a certain age. So we're going to focus on 4 categories. And so the first one is physical growth, and this considers the child's motor skills, such as gross and fine motor skills, muscle and bone development, as well as brain growth. The second category we'll be focusing on is emotional and social development, which considers the child's interactions with others and expressions of emotion. The third category is cognitive development, which considers the child's thought processes and perception. And the final category is language, and this considers the child's speech and language development, which is both nonverbal and verbal communication. So on this first video, it's Katie at 2 months old, and you can see, so this video focuses on the fine motor skills, such as grasping and reaching for toys above her, as well as noticing the toys above her. And so physical development is the growth of muscles, bones, and the brain, and most muscles and bones grow through the process of mitosis, or a type of cell division that results in the reproduction of somatic cells. And one interesting area of study in child development is the impact of environment versus nature on development. For example, height is determined by the genes carried by the parents, whereas other parts of the baby's body, such as the brain, are influenced by the environment. The development of our brain is impacted by both heredity, through the process called meiosis, and our environment. At birth, infants have reflexes that continue to develop, such as latching on to the breast or bottle to feed, or turning their head toward the voice. Motor development develops rapidly in infancy as well. The brain's plasticity refers to the amount of knowledge the brain can absorb or develop new neurological connections when the child is exposed to different environmental stimuli. Throughout infancy and childhood, the brain changes in size and neurological signals or connections develop. The brain has two hemispheres, the right side and the left side, and the right side is more responsible for visual and spatial information, and the left side is more in charge of the movement of the body of the right side, as well as responsible for speech and language. So motor skills, like I said before, the fine motor skills consider smaller movements such as grasping, reaching, and touching things, and the gross motors refers to larger movements such as walking, crawling, rolling over, standing up. So this is Katie at 4 months old. This is rolling over for the first time, and so this is one of her first uses of her gross motor skills. It took her about a month to get fully over, so it was quite a process. And this is another video, now at 2 years old, of her running down a hill. It's quite impressive, in my opinion, to see the progress of her barely able to move her hands to running at full speed for her anyway. So this is a picture comparative. So here we have her at birth to 3 months, and so at birth to 3 months, Katie is becoming stronger and more alert. She now has more control over her body. In fact, she uses larger muscle groups to roll over and push her body facing forward, as well as grasping and reaching for objects. And then at 6 to 9 months, that's when she can use supportive things to stand herself up, and she begins to take her first steps. And at 9 to 12 months, she is able to sit without support and begins to walk with assistance. And at 1 to 2 years, Katie is becoming more independent, and she has better control of her body and is able to use fine motor skills to scribble with a crayon. So the next category is emotional and social development, and this includes the child's ability to form relationships with others. So the first relationship formed is with the caregivers, and so this has a large impact on their future relationships because of detachment. They can impact whether or not the child has a positive or negative idea of relationships. And so at first, the amygdala is the part of the brain that is responsible for processing emotions, and brain researchers assert that the brain has plasticity, as I mentioned before, particularly in the first 6 months of development, and exposure to different things in the environment sets the stage for how the baby will develop emotionally. So at 2 months old, Katie is slightly alert, and she fusses and she responds to voices. And then at 5 months old, she is able to laugh intentionally at jokes, which are not that funny to anybody else but her. And then at 2 years old, this is her interacting with us, her siblings, and she's able to keep rhythm and interact with us and play and imitate, which is a big part of development. So for the emotional and social category, this is her at birth to 3 months, and she is barely alert, and she just hasn't even opened her eyes yet. And then at 3 to 6 months, she is able to smile intentionally, and at 6 to 9 months, she is able to interact with people one-on-one. And then at 9 to 12 months, she was able to start playing with other people, and parallel play is a big thing where two typically of the same age children, they can play side by side, not really interacting with each other, but it's kind of a way to promote social development. And this is her at 2 years old. She is mimicking, this was right after we went to the mall, and she was mimicking everybody shopping with their shopping bag. And the next section is cognitive development. So cognitive development, so it considers the growth of thought processes and intellectual capacity. And so the Piaget stages of development offer a general idea for when humans develop different levels of cognition. throughout their lives. So we'll be focusing on sensoromotor stage, which takes place from birth through 24 months. And this stage they focus on what's right in front of them, and they are kind of unaware of the world around them, just what is right in front of them. So, and then at 7 to 9 months, they start to develop something called object permanence, where they are able to grasp the concept that there might be things that they're not aware of. So this is her at 2 months old, and she just started noticing the toys above her in her chair and also the movement of her chair. This is her at 8 months old, which is approximately when object permanence starts taking place, and she is intentionally choosing a toy with purpose. And this is her now at 2 years old, and she is able to move objects with purpose specifically, and she is able to identify different colors as well. So at 0 to 3 months, she only sees objects within 8 to 12 inches of her face, and so by age 3 months, she is able to see color, smaller objects, and following moving objects with her eyes. At 3 to 6 months, she's able to point out direct objects, such as the pumpkin. At 6 to 9 months, she starts imitating people, such as reading a menu. And at 9 to 12 months, she starts independently looking at different objects and intentionally she enjoys looking at picture books. And then at 1 to 2 months, she enjoys moving and looking at different objects. And the final category is language. So this is her with another friend her age at 2 months old, and they are babbling at each other and trying to conversate, and this is through imitation from their caregivers and their family. And then and so they start to interact with each other then. And this is her at 13 months old, and she is able to project her emotions through tone of voice, and so and explain things which may be positive or negative depending on her mood. And now at 2 years old, she is able to joke around, and she likes to play a game. How old are they? And she says everybody's 2 because she's 2, and she likes that. So at 0 to 3 months, Katie started observing people talking and trying to imitate them barely with just moving her mouth and making noises. And then at 3 to 6 months, she started babbling more and starting piecing together sounds, and that became stronger at 6 to 9 months. And then at 9 to 12 months, she started stringing together those sounds into words or very, very simple phrases. And then at 1 to 2 months that year, she is now able to form simple sentences. So my connections between this topic and biology, so as we know, babies are produced through sexual reproduction, and this is where meiosis takes place, and mitosis causes her muscle tissue to grow as well as her bones. And biology is the study of life, so this is the study of life evolving in a short amount of time. And in order for humans to evolve into adults, they must go through child development, which we all went through. So thank you very much.